And this bit, Dave, helps with the editing if we start like this. So good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Archive Talk. Apologies for the late start. This evening in the archive room, we've got myself, Dave and Bob, our resident transvestite. He gets very upset if I don't say that. And as ever, if you want to chip in, comment, as we're going along, Dave welcomes you doing that, because that means we get more information as we're heading on. So a slightly different topic tonight, Dave, as we explore, is it the Arlesdale Railway?
Yes.
Yes. Right, we'll hand over to Dave.
Hi, good evening, folks. This actually came about when we were doing the last archive talk, and quite a few of the pictures that I was trying to dig out for Bonnie Dundee had the face on them. And as I was trying to edit them down, I think I got up to 457 that I had to play with. So I came to a decision to take all of the Thomas face pictures out of that. And then we thought, well, we've actually got quite a few Thomas faced engines. We could maybe have a little bit of fun with that. So basically that's what we're doing. I've been trying to work on some of the dates today with varied success. So if I quote a date and you think I'm wrong, please let me know, because that helps. We do have one or two files that these pictures came from where we only have images. We have no information at all. There's a guy called Ken Sabenka who took some absolutely beautiful photos, very good quality, but with no details on them. So a few of his that crop up have just got question marks behind them. From what I can gather, our first weekend, official weekend, was 1993. And some were held, it seems most were held in October, but there were a few earlier in the year as well. And our pictures don't necessarily cover all of the years. Some of them might, but I just haven't realized. So we'll start with Bert and David Taylor driving. And sorry, obviously there was a degree of merchandising, and we've managed to get quite a few of the merchandise collected for the museum, and it does attract quite a lot of small attention. When I put the search for Thomas the Tank into the system, this was one of the pictures that came up. You'll see later on there are a couple of other random ones. This, I believe, was down at Millham, and I'm not sure why Peter decided to run Thomas round the room at Millham, but he did. So back to reality, if you like. Is fantasy reality? No, I'm trying to keep up to date with these. I've got this as 1997. Whoever's driving, it doesn't actually look like George. So dating can be a problem. Someone will probably tell me that the signal gantry is on the bridge, and that might be relevant. Can't remember when that moved. But obviously the feature rather than star, because they were all stars, was the wonderful Roxham Broad, who carried the days off immaculately. It's very popular, really nice little machine. We wouldn't mind keeping it, would we? On some days.
Yes. I'm trying to see who's in the cab, but it says talking Stuart Ross over the top of it. But I have a feeling that Bob King, who's the Bure Valley CME, because I know he did come up with it at points.
Right, that's good, because the other driver was Martin, wasn't it?
They changed the rules about having character engines at points, and it became a requirement at the events that you had to have a Thomas, even though it was a 15-inch gauge railway and had good prototypes. The ruling meant that at a Thomas event you had to have a Thomas.
Mm-hmm.
Hang on, we might see in the chat. Did George ever drive at Thomas events? I never remember him seeing. That's Christopher. We won't comment really. And Trevor has mentioned that George did drive at Thomas weekend. So
right,
yes.
So it could be. I mean, it was a view, obviously, of the right-hand side of the cab, and you can only ever tell if George is there if you see the left-hand side of the cab, and the jacket is hanging over the side.
And the clenched fist.
Unfortunately, because I didn't get a chance to assemble them in date order, so to speak, this seems to have jumped forward to 2003. We obviously, many people will remember Clifford as the Fat Controller before Dave Jenner took over, with Terry Taylor as the station master and Richard Smith. Yeah. Not the best of looks.
No. And of course the footbridge is still there, which I imagine people in the comments are currently frantically typing.
Yes. And another good shot of the footbridge then. And Dave and Terry with assembled fans who...
Some of them don't look very impressed, do they?
I wasn't going to say anything. And as part of the fun, they obviously ran double-headed. Is that Martin?
It might be, yes. And then the other Martins by Bonnie Dundee.
Yes.
What was Bonnie Dundee's Thomas name, then?
Lal Thomas.
Right, okay. Christopher will have corrected as if it's not.
Yes.
Yeah. And in the background, you've got, is that the cog bus as Bertie?
Yes, yeah. It does appear later on. I'm probably still jumping around here. No, I think we're still in 2003. And the lineup outside the shed. And this one, I have a big question mark against it, but it says 1994. The faces do seem to be hung off on bits of string, which I think, were better made at a later stage. And people who are experts, the one on Doris and Dundee, they look like one type, and the one on Esk looks a bit different.
Homemade, possibly.
Potentially.
Yeah. there was official faces made, and there still is. So the people that run Thomas events, there's a special company they have to go to, and certain the characters now all have different faces. It's all very complicated, but those the one on Lady Wakefield and the one on Tank Engine Bonnie Dundee are proper official Thomas faces.
And there was a point in 1993 where Andrew Graham and 1 or 2 other people spent a lot of time producing, and they actually did a little article telling how they produced the faces. So now we've obviously stepped back a little bit in time, and I think this is definitely 1994. See, Dundee is Lyle Thomas.
Oh, yes.
I don't think they ever dreamed up a name for Greenbat. Don't remember seeing a face on, but Clifford Jones, it just looks the part, doesn't he?
Yes.
And just keep an eye.
It's clearly Rex and Mike.
Yes. Yeah. Although on some of the pictures that I found where I was looking for the Rex nameplate, it wasn't there, so get a bit confused later on.
Lost the footbridge, haven't we? Background.
Oh.
Yes, the footbridge is gone, and also River Mike's clacks have moved up front, which happened toward, I can't remember. Christopher will remember the dates.
I know we've got pictures of taking the footbridge out, but I would have said that was quite a bit later. So you can see, how easy it is to get confused with no available details.
I apologise. The footbridge is actually in the car park.
Oh, it is.
Oh, yeah. So it's just been taken out.
Bow-top fencing as well, creeping in. Yes.
Right.
There's some comments appeared. Let's see if anyone.
Yeah, we need help here. I don't think it ever came as Tracey Jo.
And Christopher thinks Dundee did a Thomas event as Oor Wullie or Oor Wullie. Can't pronounce it. We'll skip Andy's comment for legal reasons. And Trevor has rightly pointed out the footbridge is in the car park. And Christopher thinks this is sometime either after late 2002 or early 2003.
Right. So
very good.
Good. I'm quite happy to potter through these slowly if we're bringing information in. Again, I obviously need to spend more time because there are various dating helps in the positioning of the signals and whether the awning over platform 1 is flat or not.
The footbridge is still there.
And you've got the middle road as well.
Yeah.
That's Clifford telling off Mike. And this was quite a nice one with Ron. Again, I haven't got a date for it, but I'm guessing earlier, sort of 93, 4-ish. It's difficult to gauge from the colour because I think it was a strange Ravenglass evening where there was sunshine coming horizontally and it did seem to alter the colour balance of some of the photos that were taken. A little glimpse on the left of the other controller. Notice I left the other bit out. Flower of the Forest appeared as Lal Toby for a while, and there was a feature that we are considering bringing back, in that Lal Toby was parked in front of what is now Dickie's workshop, and certain Sam Dixon sat on the other side of the tracks in the red van, and they had a little microphone and speakers set up in Lal Toby, and Toby was talking to the kids, and you can see quite clearly from the responses that were in the magazine that that was a really popular movie. And we've suggested it a couple of years running, to have a talking sleigh in the museum, but time and finances just haven't quite brought it all together yet.
And what would the sleigh say? Cool outside.
Well, I'm sure we can get some conversations going.
Sam was the grumpy, the railcar intercity livery coach was in the last picture. And they've identified that, and Sam had forgotten about whether he'd forgotten about his starring appearance as Toby the Tram. And Trevor says they got into a lot of trouble for having a talking loco, which is probably true. Well, it definitely will be true.
Yes, but we can manage a talking sleigh, and we have control over our sleighs.
Well, we hope we do.
Yes, yeah, yeah. We might have to think that through a bit first. Oh yes, that's exactly where it was and what it did. It says, some might well confirm, it says that all the gear was in the red van, on the siding that went back to the camping coaches, so that he could see what was going on. And he was hiding behind a net curtain, I'm told. We thought we'd put a few more characters in. So Bill Bailey, who later took up residence at Dale Garth with his jester's outfit, was quite splendid. And Dave Jenner looks as though he's having a good cough. And our curator keeping everything tidy.
Apart from his foot plates, by the looks of it.
Oh yeah, Terry Taylor is there as well. We haven't. If that's the setup where Lal Toby was talking, we haven't got a picture that includes the red van, but I'm now looking out for it. So as I go through other pictures for other reasons, I'll see if we can find one. Again, I've got 1994 for this one, but with a question mark.
Look what's peeping in the corner there, Dave. Quarryman.
All right. Oh, that might help. Because I think I've got a dated picture of Quarryman in that position. So, yeah, that could be useful.
And on this one, Lal Toby appears to be in Steve.
Is it Lal Toby or something?
Or
the other
something
side
behind
of
it. I don't know.
Mike looks very cross on that one.
Well, someone stood in front of him, he will be. He's probably wanting to run him over.
Now, I believe that although in the 1993 version, Frank was actually yellow, I'm informed that in 1994, it was whipped off into the paint shop and turned grey with a red stripe. I'm assuming the face being slightly forward is to allow some air to get to the radiator, because I can imagine covering up the radiator was not a good idea. So Colin Cable's adding bits to the
Is that Bob?
back.
Is that you, Bob? In the behind the car?
No,
Or is it someone else?
It looks to me like
I was part of the painting team.
looks to me like Martin Higginson. I may be wrong.
Mm.
So hence the jumping around. I think we may have jumped
Got
back a
in
year
time, yes.
to 93. And again, I was surprised how much of Perkins' radiator was covered up. Now we're back to 94 again, Colin Cable again. And
with the side sheets on, it came off because of heating issues.
yes. And if you look very carefully at the cab, it actually is written up in yellow, R and ER, and ICL4. And there's the proof that it was ICL4. And it's, I thought the previous one said R and ER on the
It
other
did
side.
on that other side.
Hang on,
Well,
let's go back.
me.
Yeah, that says R&R, Dave.
Yeah.
That's a relief.
Yeah, you can look on the big screen. Yeah.
You can understand it's been a little bit fraught trying to pull
That's
these
me,
together.
Mm.
Yes.
Yes,
Tell me ball patch anyway.
in supervising mode by the looks of it, Bob. Big. That's what those marks are in the coach in the museum.
Yes.
He's sneaking in and recreating that picture, isn't he?
But I thought it was nice to actually feature Andrew Graham, as he also seemed to put quite a lot of time and effort in it. We could have gone forward or back.
I think you might have gone back.
Possibly, yes. In fact, yeah. One of the other dating things that we use is the end wall of the manager's office, which was this end of the office block. It was very late on in 1993 that they added the window. And bearing in mind it's been there since 1993, the surround has still not blended with the rest of the pebble dash. And you'd have thought after all this time, it wouldn't be that noticeable.
31 years.
Yeah, you can still see it. Yeah. So yeah, this is definitely Jock. Yeah. Sometimes there's not an awful lot to say, but a nice shot of Jock arriving. It doesn't look crowded, that train, does it?
No, it looks quite autumnal.
Yes.
And you've also got Doris is that Doris in the background in the horrible DRS lift?
Yeah, so it's Doris in blue. Let's just say it's in blue.
Yeah.
you could say it's the horrible DRS.
I'm allowed opinions.
I don't want to upset Sam too much. Oh, but yeah, that's another story.
Actually, going back, it's actually going over the crossover, isn't it? It's about to go over the crossover.
Yeah, he's about to turn to go into platform one.
Mm-hmm. and I may have tightened the shot so you can't see the signals. Yeah, this is one of the many views that nearly got into the last archive talk, but didn't. There was enough complication going on, and I still haven't worked it out. And one of the other dating signs is the paint on the footbridge. Started out silver and ended up red and brown.
Back in time again.
Yes,
Yes.
we really are.
What has happened to the face on the rail car?
Yes,
It's lost an eye.
I think it could have been taken from Quarryman, because Quarryman had a very painful looking face.
It's clearly Daisy has been in the wars.
Yes.
Just in the carriage behind, now it's 32, isn't it?
Greenbat again.
I think that we've gone down to the end of the disabled carriage back left. The silver panel. I'm slightly lost, so I'm just vaguely going through.
Because you're getting distracted by all the information.
Hey.
And quite a lot of the visiting engines joined in, and this is one of those sort of spurious sides. I wanted the picture for John. I'm not sure what John was called. It may have
been John.
It may have been John. And this little inflatable version arrived.
I bought that in Woolworths in Doncaster before blowing up.
Have you still got it?
I don't know. It might still be in
in
the
your
roof.
collection.
I suspect it's seen better days by now.
Well, it certainly
I
had
had to
an
wait for
outing.
the signal.
Yes,
I wouldn't go past without the signal being full.
There's a definite caption competition there, Dave.
Oh.
And the more inappropriate, the better.
We have used it before on a slightly lighter level of this being driver training stage 1. But he did leave it parked.
Yep.
And then for some reason it got put around the side, and I've got 2,000 for all of these with the inflatable.
This one's later. Bonnie Dundee's a tender engine, and you've got the Sellafield coach, which is now the route coach.
Oh yeah.
Or it might not be later.
Did you have it out more than once?
Quite often for these sort of things. I mean, it came to several.
We're probably at 2000. Bonnie Dundee was 97.8, wasn't it? Rebuild. I should have paid attention when I was editing the talk. And the rat coach redo was 97, 98 as well.
Must look at some of the photos, because Matthew was born in 97, and there are quite a few pictures of him posing in it.
Oh right. Yeah.
Someone might have corrected us, Dave. There's a comment come in. We're discussing Lyle Toby's shed plate.
Yes, it was. 72 was a Salisbury Benny edition.
And Christopher, the Sellafield coach, appeared in 1998, so it could be 2000.
It could be.
And I'm not sure whether Jack, the general manager, was in the Jock picture, or whether there was another Jack before
We
the
could-
general manager.
We could go back. It's worth checking out because if Jack's appeared, then it's an important. It needs commented on.
Let me have a look.
Yeah.
It's just worth looking at that again, isn't it, Dave? There.
Yes.
So the general
Yes, it
manager
is.
was in attendance.
Yes.
Yes. And that must mean that that's Trevor hiding behind the roundabout.
Well, yes.
Yeah.
I mean, it has to be kept under control.
Yes.
So, yes. Yes. Good observation.
So where did we get to?
Keep going.
There.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, might as well go to the next.
Yeah. Now,
Oh, yes.
yeah. So I was saying it does look as though someone's sort of given him a black eye, doesn't it?
It was deliberate, and I can't remember why it was done or who did
Oh.
it. It was certainly deliberate. Well,
It's the only one I've got of Foreman with a face.
He's definitely been in a punch shop there, hasn't he?
And there's at least one of the granite wagons behind, which
And by the looks of it,
the
Haywood Ronnie Hammer Dimchurch coach.
yes.
Yeah, sounds right. And I was quite surprised, but I even managed to find Douglas with a, and somebody said it was called Dougie. I could be corrected on that, particularly if Steve, who was driving it at that moment, remembers.
And the turntable's got the bow top fence around it.
Yes.
And the path.
It's a little bit like sort of ivy, isn't it, taking over?
Yes.
I am allowed that as a person. So we've gone flying back again, and the wonderful NG with us, with Clifford.
What happened to the bell? Or is that a sore point?
It's a sore point.
Right, okay.
I can't remember exactly, but, and I have to be careful how I say this, it disappeared overnight one night. And Graham was very upset. And we've never replaced it. Project for next year. We were talking about the bus earlier. So we're in Bertie bus. And, oh yeah, I've lost it. So now I think we're on 2001. And there's another shot with DJ and the bus.
You've got the fancy ratty arm sign has appeared, which have weathered very well. It's so much we reuse them. On that one though, if you go back, I'm interfering, Dave. Sorry.
Yeah, carry on.
River S not got a front coupling for some reason.
No, and it hasn't got a Rex nameplate either.
Or a dome cover.
Yeah, so there must have been
something must have been occurring.
Playing with it, yeah. I'm not quite sure what was in the wagon. Could have been anything.
Maybe best we don't know.
Yes. And then DJ with John. Does anyone know, is this a local steamroller from the guy who used to run the steam fairs, whose name escapes me at the moment? Was it one of his? Because it's...
No. Oh, that last picture was 2001, and Esk was only just out of overhaul and hadn't re-entered traffic.
Right. So presumably they just stuck a face on it where it was, just to show. Trying to remember the name of the man who ran the steam fairs. Somewhere not far away.
The ones at Fleetwood.
No, further north.
Um,
Sid Sutton. Thank
yeah,
you. Thank you, Trevor. It's working. Right, I'll just add that in. Yeah, so we managed to put faces on lots of things, including Kerr Stewart when it turned up in that I know was 2000. So that was good. And was this the time when everyone tried to get in on there? Yes. I'm guessing that's around the same time. It was a nice gesture, I thought. Worked quite well.
Is that near the engine shed?
Looks as though the bank's been cut off. Could it have been in the... Oh no, there isn't any grass in the garden.
I don't know. I'm trying to think where we have concrete like that now. But it was a long time ago, so everything could have changed.
Deteriorated.
I'm guessing that Di Chase will be able to tell us, because I'm fairly sure it's one of her pictures.
It's the Coal Road, Trevor says.
Right. Very good. So I wanted to show a picture of Jock when Christopher Audrey actually launched the book, The New Engine. And the only one I could find was actually in the magazine. And it did say that although in earlier days, Douglas would have court-martialed anyone who chalked a face on the front of an engine, times have changed, and also mentions that because of copyright complications, some of the other faces couldn't be used. So I'm now looking for the original of that photo. There isn't a credit for it. It might have been one of Andrew's, but I haven't seen it in the photos we have of his. So if anyone has a copy, yes, please. So we've been in Ravenglass for long enough, I think now, so we'll take a little trip up the line. And I think that might be the first appearance of St Alder. And I don't think St Alder ever had a name.
It did.
Did it?
It did. Lyle Edward.
Oh, grief. Right. Okay. I stand corrected again. Of course, if I'd had time, I could have gone round the back of the archive here and pulled out all the signs.
Yeah.
We
have we got
them.
all the names there?
I think so, yes.
Yeah.
And number 24, the Sandy River, joined in as well. I'm not certain which occasion which visit this was from 24, because again, you can only see the left-hand side of the loco. On the right-hand side is where the big elastoplast.
This is
floss.
This is post the lorry fall visit.
Ah, right.
Because it's lost its tender back cab. It's got the red cab roof, and it appeared one winter, autumn, didn't it?
Yes, and they are October
2000 is what Christopher says.
Thank you.
And Sam Dixon has observed there's more trees than today at the top of the marsh.
Yes. Yes, somewhere I have some, there must be Glover family pictures of Neil leaning over with big loppers, cutting back a lot of this tree approach. No, it's not the right word, whatever the word is. So Doris was Doris. And again, I've got that around 2000 as well. Then, now, I've got a silly question here. Because I don't recognize the driver.
It's tough.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, right. I was going to say, which direction is it headed in? But that helps. Yeah, unless I've got faces in my scrapbook of faces. Although I must have some of these. So now, hang on, and then I think, yeah, we have a run of 2003 photos, and I can't remember. It was David Turner, and these, I think, stand up for sharpness against.
It's a really nice
ones.
picture, that.
Yeah.
And the engine looks so good with the lining under the cab windows.
Mm-hmm.
That isn't there now. He hunted subtly.
So we have a little sequence going up to the mill. It maybe does look a little bit digital compared to the ones that we've been seeing. And it's amazing how quickly the sort of fuzziness became brighter, sharper, sometimes almost too colourful. I've had to back the colour off on some of them.
That's got the Barbie First North Western or whatever it was called, liveried coach at the front, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm guessing that that's John Robinson as station master at Moncaster Mill. The big monitor that we have has a couple of lines down it, and they go right through John. So it's quite hard to be sure.
The sign on the mill isn't there.
No. And I made that. Yeah, I made that 2003.
When did it close?
Keep forgetting these sorts of things.
It's all right. It gives me something to do.
And Trevor confirms it's John.
Yes, thank you. And the people who have arrived more recently were surprised that we had a siding that went all the way along the platform.
It's not buried yet, though.
No.
Yeah, it's still exposed.
Train standing on platform 1.
Yes.
Correct.
That's coach 32.
Yes.
With Toby.
And is that? Well, that be 3
something.
70. And John makes another, not his last appearance. He does appear in one more.
Is that Trevor in the background? At the ground for him.
That's a good question. I don't know the answer to that. I would have said not, but maybe Trevor can help. And I think that is John's last appearance on this. Fine little shuttle with Sinolder at the front and John at the back in just one coach.
Tea stains.
Don't think they're recent. I think they were on it when I scanned it. Honest. We thought if we needed a modern version of a tangent, where would we go to now? And it occurred that that was the first of the first 93. It was the upward push. We've got quite a few of the names.
The one that's back on this side, that was some Pete. And I think it's Heather Van Zella.
It is, yeah. And then DJ, and back it's is it Chris who raced Esk
in the blue.
Yeah.
Yes. Chris Mounsey.
Yeah. And Owen Ryder at the front there. So yeah. Collection of characters. It's actually quite a good excuse to dig out pictures that I wouldn't have used otherwise, but they're still nice pictures, so it's nice to see them. It's back to 2003. Previous one was 97. Yeah, publicising. And because Sheila didn't feature down in Ravenglass, it's not the best picture, but I had to squeeze Sheila in, if only just to wind up our southern friends. And then a quick jump almost up to the big oak at Merthwaite, when there was still big long siding and the right hand side was all trees, and now it's all not trees. It's pretty exposed. I should get up there and take a then and then.
Andy Nash says, do you mean loco 15? Well, in this case, isn't it Sigrid of Arlesdale?
Yes. Yeah. Having gone up to the big oak above Merthwaite, we then the big oak is just visible behind the end of the train. It's the darker green version, and that's the long straight, which had the long siding on.
And somebody says so much vegetation at Merthwaite too.
Yes.
He's not wrong. That's a lovely picture.
It is.
And it's really, in some ways, it's really sad there's a face on. But then again,
I'm sure digitally it could be modified.
Dear me, Dave.
Well, I was just thinking of our Scottish correspondent. It has been known. And yes, and that's the same straight, but down towards the big oak a little, but looking up.
It's interesting. He's never mentioned a story involving Doris at a Thomas weekend. We'll have to provoke it.
Yes. When we have time.
Yes.
It probably comes under the heading of when we have a spare 5 minutes. So now we're at the point.
That's quite interesting because we've started to get the blanked off side open coaches as well.
Well, again, I've got as 2003, and there's been some clearance
Mm.
on the slope side of Rock Point. Then we quickly up to Watermill Summit. Somebody mentioned they're going to thin out.
We believe so, yes.
Mm.
The timber's infected.
Ah, right. So it's been forced upon them.
Is there any recorded stories of the big oil can falling off one of them? Because it's in all the pictures. And it always seems to be upright. But you think it'd wobble a bit.
It maybe had plasticine
Yeah.
in the bottom. But, it's a sort of willy solution, isn't
Yes.
it? A bit of plasticine. No, I've not heard.
I've never
of
heard of
any.
the story. No.
No. But I mean, if they are starting on that left-hand side, it really opens it up back to
it's going to
Miterdale.
change. It's going to change the whole area considerably.
Yes, because Christopher mentioned it recently with that mystery picture that we were trying to place, and he said it was Doncaster Fell, and soon we might be able to take a then and now of it. So yes. And speaking of Miterdale and the run up to Skull Fell, and I'm sure the track gang will correct me, but is this before they started putting longitudinal sleepers in to keep the ballast? I'm sure it was in that area. Keep everything from sort of sliding out. We've just gone above Parker's Ramp, or Black Bridge, as everyone else seems to.
A comment?
Yeah, that could be
Christopher. Trevor says, yes, well before. Thomas clearly looks to be hurrying that picture.
Yeah, it did produce some fine bits of smoke.
Oh, general manager's on again.
Yes. Now I have another question, if anyone knows the answer. Does anyone know when that squared off corrugated shed behind Rock on there replaced the old Nissan half round shed? Because it's cropped up a couple of times recently, and we're trying to find out when the old shed finally.
Is this since that building's been listed on desirable corrugated buildings of the world's website or whatever it's called? Yes. As a rarity.
Only in the sense that it's not as old as we think it is. Because I would have said the Nissen hut lasted
and Sam says you don't see many pictures of a point leader in the up position.
Yes, shows our safety mechanism perfectly, doesn't it? Yeah, the Nissen hut is definitely there in the 50s. I would have said it was there in the 60s. And it actually had historic relevance then, because they used to keep Muriel in there, sort of ticking over in the early days. So there's more of a story to that than
we possibly know.
This one. Yeah. So now we moved up to Eskbank, just below Eskdale Green Station, and you can't quite see the crossing behind. I've had to cull quite a few photos of trains on the crossing for various reasons.
Right, okay.
but it's again, it's a nice position, and I've just I've just remembered another shot that I must pull out at some stage, taken from one of the gardens, looking back across at the railway. It had the azaleas and things out in it. Really beautiful shot. So scooting through Eskdale Green Station, and it looks a fairly packed down.
Jack's over again as well.
Yes. Now that's actually curious because I'd only noticed him once
Right, okay.
in trying to pull these together. Yeah. Yes. So just to tell Trevor, it wasn't intentional that the manager was there. And up to Fisher Ground. Again, looks quite bright. And I'm sure someone will correct me. I reckon that's around Fisher Ground somewhere because of the drop down to the fence on the left. And there seems to be a bit of a gully on this side. So again, I'm looking to Christopher. I haven't got a location for that specifically, but it's somewhere around there. So, and I know where this is. It took me a while looking at the left-hand side of the picture, and it was only when I looked at the right.
That's a later incarnation of Yellow Perkin, Frank.
Yes, because it's got the black
bonnet
top. In that case.
Trevor has, but almost at the west end of the loop was the River Eskdale.
Oh, right. Thank you. Yes. And yeah, I don't know. I don't have a date for that one either. Obviously, it's one of the sequences. It suggests 2003 because the grouping around it was of that age, but there isn't actually a date on the on modes. Yeah, so we had the water tank, which Frank didn't need to stop that, but Mike obviously did. And now we are into a little run of 2003. It's definitely a change of feel of picture, isn't it? When digital starts to come in.
It's hard to describe, but there is a noticeable.
And it isn't just that it's all sharper,
but they don't mellow. So that if you look at old pictures or pictures, colour pictures from this period, they don't look. They haven't got that sort of yellowy 70s, 60 colour, but they have changed.
Yeah.
And it's quite, but it's not flat either. Whereas these are sharp, but they feel quite sharp when you look at them.
Yeah. Sorry. Wake up. And again, it's 2003, so has the big tree gone by then? No, because that was quite a bit later, wasn't it? The big tree right beside the tracks, it was on the left-hand side, just before Spout House Bridge.
That's busy on that train.
Yeah.
And the old speed limit boards.
And just yeah, these are all David Turner, so we're very grateful for his recording of these events. And then, curiously, and I'm sure people will start flooding me with pictures, but I really struggled to find any Thomas Face pictures with Delgarth. That's one obviously nearly there. And the only other one we've got goes back to 93 to the Katie Push. So that we have got the face. But I was quite surprised how few pictures there are of Thomas type things at Delgarth. So if you want to redress that balance. And then this one I only found late on this afternoon when I was trying to push something else in. And it appears to be Bert with Martin rescuing a stranded train. And I'm fairly sure now that I've found it that there was a story behind it. And the Rex came up with its own train and actually pushed and pulled both trains up to a safe point, which must have been.
You sure that's not Henry and Enterprising?
Again, I also haven't a date for that, and I don't have a name for the guard either.
I remember her name. No, I can't remember.
Is it Leo's late wife?
Oh,
yeah,
Jane.
Well be Jane. Yeah. Yes.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah. Jane.
Thank you. Yeah, this is good. And then, because it's all around Thomas, I thought we'd round off with a nice Thomas at the end of the journey. And then we, as usual, I should have put it in as a matter of course, but the Glover family particularly are missing from that, and one or two other people. I might try and give you an updated version
Right,
to edit in. Then just
You're all right. Yes. We were late starting.
Yeah.
Yes.
A couple of things cropped up because I think I've explained before. I tend to put a word in, such as Thomas or whatever, as a search word, and then I just run down and see which pictures crop up. And they're not always directly relevant, as you may remember with the curator at Millam. But also, that turned up when I was looking for Thomas. As did this one, and it must be really irritating when your son has got a nice headboard and it's his 11th birthday and you're setting the picture up with him and his dad is actually standing by the signal there and some idiot walks in, spoils the shot talking to PVZ. And then someone mentioned this recently and said that they hadn't seen it. And I think it's probably time to give it a little more exposure. It's a wonderful sequence by Di Glover of Will showing off. So he's digging out the ditch. And then he has to go and get it. And cover. I can't remember it. Oh yes, this is turned into a bit of a Will show, trying to provide the balance. Thought he was there earlier. So these are just a few random shots. This is following the accusations that we had a mole on the premises. And these sort of lend themselves to a caption competition, particularly that one. Robert with his shovel thought we had to. Right. That one really freaked me out when I first saw that one. You just do not expect to see that in a $5. And we did like that one.
And these all came up in the Thomas search.
No, it sort of disintegrated after I got to the will bit.
Right, okay.
It started out with the Thomas search.
That often happens where Will's involved, doesn't
it? Well, it's classic of me sort of wandering off that topic as well. Just wondered what sort of horse it was that was going on the bridle with. I think that's the last one.
That reminds me of the story about some track relaying in one of the platforms at King's Cross, because the points are done by one part of Network Rail and the straight track is done by another group. And they relayed one platform and were told to lay so many meters of track and laid that and never thought to join it up to the crossing. And there was a gap about that big when they handed it back to the operations department. Like that. Well, we laid what you told us to.
Fair enough.
So we'll just check we've not missed any comments. I don't think we have, because we've sort of we're going along. So we've discussed whether George was involved on the Thomas weekend. So ignore that comment. Footage in the car. And I think we've picked most up apart from the last one, which was from Keith Stewart. So next year is the railway's 150th anniversary, and in February it had been the February that's just gone was the 150th anniversary of the first sod digging, which Peter told us about in one of the recent talks. We are putting plans together for the 150th anniversary. I currently have sat on my desk from Will 157 ways of celebrating the 150th anniversary. I think 7 are possibly usable at the moment. But there's all sorts of interesting things. So we are hoping to be able to do a bit of a show which the museum will be involved with. We're not quite sure what it'll look like yet. Locos will be involved, and I suspect there'll be odd bits and pieces all the way through the year. The honest answer is, at the moment, we'll probably have a gala of some description, but we don't know quite what else at the minute. Certainly Keith Herbert has got some ideas that he's working on, which actually may replenish some of the trees that have disappeared since these pictures in the 2000s. So it's a case of watch this space, Keith, and when we know more, we will let everyone know. So I think keep your eyes peeled for when the next talk is. As ever, thank you all for watching. Just so that you do know, all the talks up to the last one now are on the YouTube channel. And as they say on YouTube, click like and subscribe so that you get the updates. We will try and get them on a bit quicker this year. So there are 32 archive talks there. If you want to go and watch them, you'll need around 60 hours, because some are more than an hour long. Worth going and having a look. Some of them we've forgotten about. Some are really interesting. Well, they're all really interesting. So do go and have a look on the YouTube channel. And thank you all for watching. And we hope to see you all fairly soon. Thank you and good night, everyone.
Cheers, Stuart. Thanks all. Good night.